Imagine you wake up tomorrow and every tax in your country disappears. No income tax, no VAT, no fuel tax, nothing. Sounds amazing. Until you realize hospitals, schools, roads, pensions, even the police suddenly have no money. Taxes are simply the price we pay to live in a functioning society. But there isn't just one tax. Governments mix different tax types, like ingredients in a recipe. Let's start with the king of modern taxes, income tax. This is money taken from the salary you earn, the fee you get for freelancing, or the profit from your small business. Many countries use tax brackets. The first slice of income is taxed lightly. The higher slices are taxed more. The idea is that those who earn more contribute a bigger share. Then we have payroll and social security taxes. These are charged on wages too, but instead of going into the general budget, they usually fund specific things: retirement pensions, unemployment benefits, health insurance. Both you and your employer often pay a chunk.
You can think of them as forced savings for your future problems. Next comes consumption tax, the money you pay when you spend, not when you earn. The most famous versions are VAT and sales tax. VAT is added at every step of production, from factory to wholesaler to shop. Sales tax is usually just added once, when you buy the final product. Different countries prefer one or the other, but the goal is the same. The more you consume, the more you contribute. There are also excise taxes, sometimes called sin taxes. These are extra charges on things governments want people to use less: cigarettes, alcohol, sugary drinks, fuel. Officially, they pay for the damage those products cause. Unofficially, they're an easy way to collect money because addicts rarely stop buying. Now meet property tax. If you own a house, apartment, or land, the local government often charges a yearly fee based on its value. That money usually funds local services: street lights, garbage collection, public schools in your area.
You might feel like you paid already when you bought the house, but property tax is like rent you paid to the city to exist around you. Closely related is land value tax, used in a few countries and often praised by economists. Instead of taxing the building, the tax is charged on the land itself. If a plot in the city center is sitting empty, the owner still pays a lot. On the business side, we have corporate income tax. This is a tax on company profits, revenue minus costs. In theory, it targets big corporations. In practice, the burden is shared between owners, workers, and customers. That's why some countries lower corporate tax to attract investment, while others keep it higher to make multinationals pay more. Finally, for this part, capital gains tax. When you sell an asset, a stock, a cryptocurrency, a piece of land, for more than you paid, that difference is your capital gain. Many governments tax that profit, sometimes at a lower rate than normal income, sometimes higher. It's controversial because the richest people often earn more from assets than from salaries. All of them revolve around how societies tax work and profit.
So far, we covered the big, visible taxes. Now, let's talk about the ones people usually meet only at life's most emotional moments. First is inheritance, or estate tax. When a person dies and leaves money, houses, or shares, some countries tax the transfer to the heirs. The idea is that very large fortunes shouldn't grow forever untaxed just by passing from parent to child. Small inheritances are often spared. Related to that is wealth tax. Instead of taxing only when you earn or sell, the state looks at your total fortune each year, properties, stocks, savings, and charges a small percentage. Only a few countries still use it because rich people can easily move assets abroad. Then we have tariffs and customs duties. These are taxes on goods that cross borders. If a car, phone, or grain shipment enters the country, the importer may have to pay a percentage of its value. Tariffs were once a main source of government income.
Today, they are also political weapons.
used to protect local industries or punish unfriendly countries. There are also environmental taxes. The most famous are carbon taxes, charged on coal, oil, or gas based on how much CO2 they release. The idea is that pollution has a price, so it should be built into the cost of energy, flights, and production. Some countries also tax plastic bags, landfills, or even noisy airplanes to push companies and consumers toward greener choices. Next are license fees and permits. Want to drive a car, run a radio station, fish in a lake, or mine on public land? You might have to pay a license or concession fee. Technically, these aren't always called taxes, but they work in a similar way. You pay the state for the right to use a public resource or to perform a regulated activity. Then come the hidden taxes. One is inflation tax. When a government prints too much money, prices rise, and the value of your savings slowly melts. Nobody sends you a bill, but your purchasing power has been silently taken.
Another is seigniorage, the profit a government makes by creating money that costs almost nothing to produce, but is spent at full value. Finally, we have fees, tolls, stamps, and duties on very specific actions. You pay to cross a bridge, register a property, file a court case, get a passport, or buy a house. Alone, they seem small, but together they form a web of micro-taxes woven through daily life. When people say every tax in the world, it sounds overwhelming, but in reality, almost all of them fit into a few big families. Taxes on what you earn, what you buy, what you own, what you trade across borders, and what you do to the planet. Each country mixes those families differently, depending on its politics, history, and culture. You can hate taxes, you can debate which ones are fair, but you can't escape the basic truth. Someone has to pay for civilization. The real question is not taxes or no taxes, but which mix of taxes gives us roads, hospitals, safety, and opportunity without crushing the people who create value. That is the debate every society has to face, whether it admits it or not. In the end, every tax is a trade between freedom and funding.